Hospital Porter's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panmo TV and welcome to this UFO Disclosure 2026. This is actually the first UFO Disclosure video I've actually made this year. In fact, for almost a year now. But my last one in this project was actually the Whistleblowers Galore one, which I made, I think it was last May. It was a long time ago. But it's the one where I got the BAP in my hand saying, Ben the Backslapper says it's a nothing burger. That one. I thought it was quite a witty sort of title shot, a little witty sort of title screen and thumbnail anyway. But I've covered the UFO disclosure issue, of course, but just not part of this UFO disclosure kind of project thing. That's the difference, I think. But I'm going to do it now. And rather unusually in this case, I'm going to address a missing person, a missing persons case. Now, this is rare. I don't often do this. And you'll guess that this particular missing person and the issues associated with them are more than just the average normal missing person, which indeed is true. I'll show you the person who's actually missing. It's this gentleman here. And you can see this is the missing persons report and poster that's put out. This is now being put on lampposts and notice boards and community centre places and things like that. And it's don't be too alarmed about the silver alert thing. The silver alert suggests there's a certain risk associated with this particular man. And he's in a particular form of danger. And that's actually because he does need to take medication. And that's why it is. So we can actually, this is the actual poster. But I'm just sorry about this at the moment, gentlemen. I'm just going to go to my settings, as I always do, and I just want to check everything's working, and it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's the gentleman we're looking at now. And I should go back to that screen, actually. There we go. And it is, this is from the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. This is in New Mexico, USA, the town of Albuquerque, a place I've never been, but I'll show you some of the street views in a minute because I think it's relevant. But as you can see here, the Bernalillo, it's a lovely name, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is looking for the assistance from the public in looking for a 68-year-old William Neil McCasland. This is the missing man. Last seen, 2 weeks ago almost, the 27th of February. I get the Americans, they get the dates backwards, don't they? Bloody heck. At about 11 a.m. in the area of Quail Run Court Northeast. That's the street where he lived. I'll be showing you that in a minute. Again, it's not doxing because they put his home address here or at least the street, which is a small street. So it is essentially revealing his home address, but they think it's necessary to find him. Unknown clothing description, unknown direction of travel. Due to medical issues, law enforcement are concerned for his safety. And there's a phone number you can ring if you know anything about this missing man. And there he is. He's 68 years old, 5'11", 160 pounds, white hair, blue eyes. That's the guy who's gone missing. Now, I can show you where he was. This is, I'll show you a little bit about where he was. This is actually where he lives, Quail Run Court Northeast. And as you can see, it's a small little close here with just a few houses. He lives in one of these. And if you just look at it, it's actually quite barren. It's not unlike the area of California I went to. It's quite deserty. There's just bushes and dry grass. And that's where he was last seen. Now, when they say he was last seen in the vicinity of this little street here, I'm guessing that means he was at home. I'm guessing he was seen in one of these houses where he was at home here. I don't know how old this photo is. It looks like that house has got some No, that's reflection. I was going to wonder if anyone was living there. I thought it might be like it hadn't been lived in or something. But yeah, he was last probably seen at home. He lived with his wife. Someone's left their wheelie bin out. Oh, dearie me. Is it bin day? Fine them. Make them pay through the nose for that. But anyway, this is the area he was seen. As you can see, if you look up in the neighbouring street here, you can see that there are a few houses, but there's a lot of undergrowth, there's a lot of trees. It's quite rugged, and it's quite likely someone could walk along this road, for example, in this direction, which is where several people believe he was going, and not actually see it. Must be bin day because there's another one. And not actually see him, so they might not notice him because, like many houses in the desert, these buildings have small windows. Then with the hotel in Indian Wells where I was at, it's traditional desert architecture. It tends to have thick walls, small windows to make the inside cooler. And so it's quite likely people might not have seen him. It's not like this front door's right next to the road. See what I mean? Where I live, it's very different because where I live, it's actually it's actually the doors. Basically, there's no front gardens at all, almost. So it's a series of blocks of flats, but there's no front doors at all. He may well have walked through here. See this little pass. He may well have walked through here because David Paulides did a video about that and believes he was heading north. He may have gone down this little alleyway here to reach this. This is the Tramway Boulevard Northeast. This is where Paulides thinks he might have gone. And this is like the main road. See, the Quail Court Road is over there. There's a little alleyway that leads through here. There's a wall, but he could have got over it. And there's a little pavement along here. And the reason is he was a fit guy. He is a fit guy. So I shouldn't say was. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't talk about him in the past tense. I mean, he is a fit guy. He's a fit bloke. He's 68 years old. He's almost 20 years older than me. But he just a couple of days before he disappeared, late February, he went on a 60-mile bike ride. Could I do that? Being much younger? No, I probably couldn't. So he's a fit guy. And he also used to like rambling and jogging and things like that. He used to go jogging. He used to go for long rambles, hiking, stuff like that. And so I'll show you where Paulides thought he was going, because David Paulides, of course, is the guy to go to for missing people, especially when there are strange, unusual circumstances associated with that missing. Paulides, see, there's Quail Run. That's where he lived. Paulides believes he's walking up, and he says in the video he was walking up here. Once you get out of town here, there's this open countryside here. It's quite rugged. As I say, it's very similar to. It is actually quite similar to the place I went to in California. And I don't know if it is as hot as it is there. Probably in February it wasn't as hot. But it looks like a lovely place. There's these sandy. There's something called the Peak Tramway. I'm guessing that's some kind of cable car. I don't know. But as you get up here, these look like pistes. So this is probably like there's chair lifts and things. So this is, I'm guess, peak ski area. Right. Now, again, you've got to think of the temperature. How high he could have be affected by cold, depending on how high he was going. Because if you look at this, you can clearly see. I'll just show another street view here. This is clearly the summer. These mountains back here, as you can see here, these mountains. There's no snow on them. This photo was taken in the summer, but clearly in wintertime, which would include this time of year probably. These peak areas become snowy, which means it gets cold up there. It must get cold up on the top of this mountain here. Now, he may have been. Now, Paulides said he used to like to walk up to a place called, was it something Trailhead? La Louche Trailhead. That's it. La Louche Trailhead, which is here. And he liked to. There was various routes he used to take. And Paulides, if you look at Paulides' video, he's got a map which shows where he used to go, where he used to like to wander. His wife was familiar with this. This is probably why she wasn't that worried at first when he disappeared, where he sort of went off for a walk. But this is where he went, where he may have been heading the La Louche Trailhead here. And again, at this time of year, it may not have been as well, at least it may not have been as sort of like summery and bright and warm as this. It's clearly quite warm here. It could be this is covered in snow and it was actually pretty cold. So did he have warm clothes on? I mean, he may not have needed them at ground level, but he certainly would have needed them if he was going high up. But again, we don't know what clothes he was wearing. We don't know much about that at all. But what we do know, of course, is that his wife reported him missing. And what happened after that was there was the New Mexico. Was it here? I've got all the details here. I am just going through my notes here. But basically, he was at his town. He went missing, and the community assistance, law enforcement, and New Mexico search and rescue have been all over. They've been knocking on doors, requesting like doorbell camera footage so they know where he goes. Although, as I said, as you could see from the street view, doorbell camera footage might not be of much use, but he doesn't need. It's possible they might have caught him walking past. And it's possible in the distance they may have been a clip of him. Just so long as they know he's there and they know which direction he went is very, very important. Now, the FBI have been involved. Now, this is strange because the FBI don't normally get involved in missing persons. That's a job for the local police, mountain rescue, search and rescue, people like that. They normally do that. Now, when agencies like the FBI get involved, you know something strange is going on. And this reminds me very much of the case of, what's his name? Konstantinos Philippidis is an unusual name. He's usually known as Danny. Just a second. Let's just find it. And yeah, there's the strange case of Konstantinos Philippidis. Now, this is something a little bit similar. Now, this guy was a Canadian bloke, came from Toronto. And he was a keen skier. He was quite a high level. So he went to the Whiteface Mountain, New York, USA, which is the place where they once had the Winter Olympics. And he just vanished. No one knew where he'd gone. He went there with some of his friends. They spent 6 days looking for him. His family came all the way down from Toronto to find him. No sign. He wasn't even lying. They thought they might find him lying in some ditch in the woods with a broken leg, trying to keep alive and stop himself freezing to death before the rescuers found him. They didn't find him. Now, a few days later, he turned up. He turned up alive, I'm pleased to say. Yeah, he was spotted walking on the streets of a place called Sacramento in California. That's almost 3,000 miles away. Still wearing his skiing helmet and goggles and warm clothes. Hadn't a clue where he'd been. He phoned his wife, and he phoned his home, and his wife was helping with the search, but someone picked up the phone and they passed on the message. Big relief had by all. What's interesting is the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security were involved in that particular case. You've got to wonder why. If you watch David Paulides' Missing 411, the Can-Am Missing Project on YouTube, or the Missing 411 films, you'll know exactly why. There's something the government seem to know a lot about this sort of thing. And when they get involved in a missing person case, a normal missing person case, you know something strange is going on. And this is what you'll obviously have guessed by now, that this missing person case is not normal. And the very fact that they're involved says a lot. There's also the fact that he left his mobile phone behind, which he doesn't normally do. He might need to make a phone call or something. He left his digital watch as well. He had a digital watch, and he disappeared as well. Now, a lot of people have said, well, he was it was a silver alert because he had dementia. Well, no, he didn't have dementia. He was, as I say, he was a physically fit man for a 68-year-old, in good shape, mentally as well. He was a top engineer, actually. And we'll talk a little bit about his career, because his career is very interesting. He was retired now, was a top engineer. So he's been enjoying his retirement in this little nice. It's a beautiful area, you can tell, and he was still actually kept involved in the business despite his advanced years. He kept involved in the business. And obviously, like, I will reiterate this, this isn't a form of entertainment here. I do really hope that he is found. I want him to be found and brought home safe to his family, and I really do wish for that. This video is not to be glorified in any way. I want him to be found. You may wonder, incidentally, what this background is. It's It's the Nuremberg invasion. It's the Nuremberg, what's it called? The Nuremberg UFO. Let me just get. Yeah, 1561. The celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. You may wonder why I've chosen this background. I couldn't think of any other. I was trying to think of a really original background for this case, for this particular video, and I thought, well, it's important to remind us how old this phenomenon is when it comes to UFOs, and I'm going to talk about UFOs in this particular video. So just to clarify that, that's why I've got this background here, in case you were wondering. So yeah, he went missing around 11 a.m. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, 11 a.m. Friday, the 27th of February. So it's 2 weeks. That's not 2 weeks away tomorrow. 2 weeks ago this Friday. He's been missing for all this time. Now, you probably know where I'm going with this, because everyone in the US UFO sphere is talking about it. Ross Coulthard has done a couple of videos about this. David Paulides does it from the missing persons point of view, but Christina Gomez has covered this. Patrick from Vetted has covered this. Several other people have mentioned this particular situation, and it all goes back. It all goes back possibly to this. And I myself have covered this on previous videos. All right, so we are sort of like going to go over old territory again, but it is this: Trump orders UFO files released after slamming Obama over alien comments. And we covered that on a previous video, but this is his Truth Social post here. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files relating to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, which are the same thing, of course, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. And of course, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, has kind of confirmed that. He did an interview, sort of on the spot interview, and he just said, well, this wasn't on my bingo card, but the president's given me an order, I'm going to do it. And he said this several times. He's made this point several times. He's going to comply with the president's order. Well, that's not official yet, but there's been no executive order as far as we know. Nothing's been revealed or released. But yeah, and now I can't help wondering, you may think, well, is there a connection between William Neil McCasland, Neil as he's known to his family, disappearing and this? And I think maybe there is. When you realize who Neil McCasland actually is. He's retired from various employers he had, which include the US Air Force, where he reached the rank of Major General, so he's quite senior. He had a 34-year career, qualified from the Air Force Academy in 1979, retired 2013, focused on the most advanced and sensitive technologies in the US military. He worked basically for the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, managing a $4.4 billion portfolio that included advanced materials, science, and future weapons research. Now, this is extremely interesting because it ties back to the Roswell incident. For those of you who've watched me regularly, you'll know, or you read my book, Roswell Rising, a Novel of Disclosure, available all good bookshops now, priced £10. Shameless plug. I can't resist that, of course. Those of you who are familiar with my work will know that the official Roswell story, which I'm pretty obsessed with, goes cold at that point. Now, what happened on July the 8th, 1947, there was the famous newspaper report, RAAF captures flying disc. This essentially is saying, well, these UFOs are real and we've just got one. There's then a few news reports. There's indeed some press releases and news reports from talking about what happened to this flying disc, and they said they'd taken it to the technical data section at Wright Field. Wright Field is what's now called Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, the technical data section is a place where foreign hardware and other pieces of intelligence like that are studied. So it was used very much during World War II to analyze, for example, a captured German fighter plane or something, or a torpedo boat that was captured from the Germans and things like that. In the newly emerging Cold War, it played a similar role. So foreign material, basically foreign technology. However, the word foreign it's hardly adequate in this situation, because we're talking about something a little bit more exotic than Germany. But it's the place where you would take things like that. And the fact that McCasland actually was actually involved in this project, in fact was leading this project, he commanded the AFRL, is very interesting indeed. He was involved in special access projects, director of special programs at the Pentagon, executive secretary for the Special Access Program Oversight Committee, which gave him a purview over the nation's most secretive knowledge and capabilities. This guy was learning about secret information all the time. His security classification was about as high as they get. Spatial leadership. He held multiple leadership roles in space research and operations. The National Reconnaissance Office, which of course David Grush was involved in. Vice Commander of the Space and Missile Systems Center. And indeed, he also moved, when he moved to Albuquerque, he got a job at the local Kirtland Air Force Base, the Phillips Research Site. Now that is, that's very infamous, because that's where, Paul Benowitz was picking up strange signals, because he lived near there. And that's when Richard Doty got involved in his case. and well, I won't go into that now, but it's a pretty dark era for ufology. We don't know the nature of the medical issues, but it could be he just needs to take medication. It could be the silver alert means, it doesn't mean he's got dementia. It means that there are medical issues, which means that he is in particular risk going missing and being away from, for example, medication. This doesn't obviously he's a very fit man, but it's possible that he does still need to take medication. And a lot of people do. It could just be something simple. He might be diabetic or something and needs to take insulin drugs and other things like that every so often. It could be he does need to do that. It's quite surprising the number of people who are dependent on medical drugs. It could be just something like painkillers. I know people, including ex-hospital porters, who cannot function without painkillers, usually through chronic spinal injuries they got through the course of their work. People joke about bad backs, but it's not a joke. If you got it, it's very, very painful indeed. But his wife just said it was unusual for him he was an experienced outdoorsman, as I said, to leave home for a walk without his phone or watch. Yeah, at the moment, they're searching the terrain around his home, the Sandia Mountains foothill, the neighborhood where he lived. There are helicopters with thermal images, drones, things like that, to try and find him. Now, they did find some clothing on Saturday, but it's not been confirmed who it belongs to yet. There's been some unconfirmed sightings. Fourth potential sighting has been ruled out. Again, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office has issued an urgent plea for residents and business owners in the area to review private camera footage and please pass it to the police if they need it. Oh, but all we can do is hope that he comes back, definitely. We just hope that he comes back. But if for his sake. So, yeah, it's kind of... you wonder why, if he has disappeared, why he did it. Did he disappear deliberately? Or did someone make him disappear? In other words, has he been kidnapped? Now, the fact that he left home without his phone or digital watch, to me, indicates that there was a voluntary aspect in this. In other words, at least to begin with, there was something voluntary going on. He wanted to meet with somebody privately. And in this day and age, of course, you know very well that if you want to do anything privately, you can't take any electronic devices with you. you have to leave them at home, because of course you can be traced with those things. Could be very useful if you do go missing, but not if you, unfortunately, not if you don't want to be found. So it's possible he was going to meet with somebody and didn't want anyone to know he was doing so. And it seems an odd coincidence this would happen when his president has just announced he's going to issue information about UFOs. We don't yet know how much information, what kind of information, whether it's true or false, or even if there's going to be any at all. We don't know that. As I discussed in previous videos, we just have a Truth Social post from Trump. Nothing official has been said yet. Nothing official has been announced yet. It could, as I said in that particular video, which you can watch. It was only a couple of weeks ago I did it. I said quite clearly this could be just the usual Trump buffoonery, him mouthing off the way he sometimes does. I'm going to take over Canada. There's a time when I could have laughed at it and felt affectionate about him, but not anymore because of his recent behaviour. As I said, actually, in fact, there's a bit of background to this particular video you might want to know, and it refers to, because this video is kind of a follow-up to that, and it is actually the last Third Rail Radio program, 236, where I talk about a UFO general goes missing, and then the war with Iran and stuff like that. So you may wonder, what you covering the war in Iran, Ben? Well, I've covered it in that particular program. So, and I may well come back to it on Panmo TV. But I do recommend going and listening to that particular show if you want to know what I think about the war in Iran. I've done an article about it as well. I actually just posted this last night quite late, but this video here, the Inverkazi mutiny. That's quite an amusing title, I think. I cover the Iran situation there as well. But basically, of course, it could be that this is now the whole UFO thing is now going to be forgotten because of the Iran situation. But clearly, Major General McCasland, retired, U.S. Air Force retired. It seems a big coincidence that this would happen so soon after Trump's tweet or Trump's truth, and whether there's a connection there. If that's the case, then it's clearly that at least somebody on the inside of the legacy program, who McCasland is, I'll give you more reason for that in a minute, takes it seriously, takes this possibility seriously, even with all the Iran thing going on. I mean, the thing is, things like Iran, I know that I've discussed it with Steve Bassett, that these worldly events sort of like if you have to postpone disclosure because of these A, B, and C going on. And as I said to Steve, if we wait for completely still waters to launch this ship, we'll be waiting forever. But in this day and age, I think it could increase the likelihood of catastrophic disclosure. And maybe, again, that's something McCasland is concerned with. Maybe he's involved in something like that. I don't know. We don't know what he's doing, what's happened. But you see, Ross Coulthard has said that this is actually a major national security issue, that a man with his knowledge in his position, I know he's retired, but a man in his position is going to go missing because of what he knows about Special Access Program, what he knows about the Legacy Program, classified aerospace technology, UFOs. And the question is, does someone not want him to speak? Does somebody not want him to say anything? That's the question. Or does somebody want him to speak to the wrong people? In other words, when he may have gone out, he may have been summoned to some kind of meeting, and he didn't want to be followed. But then the people who turned up were like agents of maybe Chinese or Russian agents, and they said, "You're coming with us," and they've taken him somewhere. In which case, of course, he's in grave danger. And again, I hope if his captors are watching this, I can ask you, please release him. He has a family. He's got a wife. He may well have kids, grandkids. Please let him go home. It's not fair to keep him a prisoner. It's possible that his captors are agents of the United States, and that it's possible that they're concerned he might go rogue. And with all this knowledge, that's pretty dodgy. And indeed, when you look at his back, what actually he did, and this takes us back quite a long way. It takes us back to in this new ufology era, which is now almost a decade old. We have to go back into a little bit of history, and we have to discuss what happened when the New York Times article broke out in 2017, December 2017. Can't believe it's in nearly 10 years, but it's 9 years this December. Blimey. Seems a long time. But you may remember John Podesta and his emails. The fact that John Podesta, who was running Hillary Clinton's campaign back in 2015, was saying basically, and then through 2016 up to the election, he actually said that the people deserve to know the truth about UFOs. And this led, and many, many other people were talking about this. Steve Bassett and I spoke about this, which was that Hillary Clinton was going to be the disclosure president had she won. I doubt that, quite frankly, but as I said so at the time. But this was the idea going around. And indeed, Tom DeLonge was emailing Podesta. And what this is basically the WikiLeaks emails. Now, if you remember that when the To the Stars Academy came out, this was kind of like, it was like a really big thing. Do you remember the big press conference they did? They got all these guys together in a room, and they did this big. They've done several of these with Tom DeLonge, the rock star. There was John Podesta. John Podesta wasn't involved, but he had all these people. A lot of people who become big on the new ufology scene were in this room together, and I remember it very, very well. Now, TTSA seems to have fallen by the wayside a bit lately, and I think it's got a lot to do with it split. There was a big hoo-ha, and I think the two key people in TTSA quit. They left the whole thing, and that was, of course, was Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo. They actually left. Yeah, John Podesta, who's the chairman of the presidential campaign, and was involved with Tom DeLonge. He knew they were emailing each other, and in fact, Tom DeLonge wrote to Podesta, claiming him that there was this man on the inside, an officer on the inside, who was advising him on how to structure the UFO Disclosure project. A key figure helped him assemble the advisory team for TTSA. And DeLonge specifically highlighted his insider, this person on the inside. I know we have these kind of anonymous source, trust me, bro moments, all right? But this has turned out to be the real thing. This is why I don't automatically dismiss them. But he described him as the person involved who was heading a scientific research project at Wright-Patterson, which, of course, was where the Roswell wreckage was shipped. As I was saying, I sort of started the thought and didn't finish it, as I often do. But the news reports actually did say, specifically, when this flying disc was captured, it was taken to the technical data section, and it was after that, and they even described some of its properties, like it's very, very lightly built. It's like a box kite. There's no obvious means of propulsion inside it they can spot, and they were even revealing some of the details of the initial observation of this wreckage, and that's when it all went quiet. Then suddenly, oh no, it was just a weather balloon, and the rest is history. And then, of course, there was an attempt to bring this insider into the highest levels of political leadership. So Tom DeLonge wanted to introduce Podesta to this person, and said that he was a top officer, officially in charge of this classified project, and there actually was a meeting scheduled between Podesta, DeLonge, and this secret insider, scheduled for January 2016. And the emails from WikiLeaks report that the invitation was accepted, if unconfirmed, and we don't know actually if the meeting occurred. But the insider was said to be significantly involved with TTSA during its early stages in the advisory level, although he never officially joined their board or staff. And this insider was never publicly confirmed. However, there is actually a documentary which you can actually retweeted this just to let you know. I'll just show it to you if it hasn't been deleted. But I retweeted it from, where is it from? It's a few days ago now. But I retweeted it from, here we are. This is Vetted from Pat. This is Patrick from Vetted. Tom DeLonge's Secret Machines full documentary. Hard to find, scrubbed from most of the internet. Now, what's interesting about this, I won't play the audio soundtrack. I think this is like a short version because it actually says here, this is not the documentary. It's a press conference that's readily available, not scrubbed from the internet. The actual documentary was never released. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Because I knew it was, I heard that this was like a shortened version. This was like a, what's the word? A stripped down, edited version, a Reader's Digest version of the original documentary. But it's actually not. Okay. But this is just the introduction to this press conference. But you see here Tom DeLonge. And this was the insider, the secret insider actually is interviewed in the documentary at some point. I don't know whether we can find it or not.
Early this year that are so
ban like Blink. I was a tip.
This is the press conference.
Technology.
But Patrick from Vetted actually did have I don't know if we can find it now, but Patrick from Vetted actually did, it may be a little while ago.
Looks me in the eye and says it was the Cold War and we found a life form.
The documentary is called Secret Machines, secret with a K. It's S-E-K-R-E-T. And this is actually, this is a documentary that was never released. And you may think that the title is odd because if you watch regularly, you'll know there's some books called Secret Machines, and I actually showed you them. It's by Tom DeLonge and A.J. Hartley. There are two books which I've read and I've reviewed on Hapanlo Voice, which are well worth reading, I'd say. But the actual documentary has never been released. I don't know if we'll ever see it. Well, as you know from Cable Green, things get stuck in distribution hell quite easily. But anyway, this is I can show you the actual little clip here from Tom DeLonge that Patrick has actually gathered here. So I'll just show it to you, which is actually quite interesting. It's got some clips from. We go back to the trailer that I showed you earlier on Twitter, but it's actually got some extra scenes in, including there's actually an interview with the insider, the secret insider. So here we go. I'm claiming fair use on this, as always.
One, there are certain things that should never have been secret. Two, there are secrets that were justifiable at the time but should now be disclosed.
Well, that's actually debatable. Go on.
And three, there are things that are so terrifying and unimaginable that certain interests believe that they should never, ever be made public.
You see, that annoys me. That attitude always annoys me because the certain interests, they always think, well, people, we're going to hear the insider say this. People will panic if we tell them. Well, but you're not panicking. No, I'm not panicking, but I'm superior to you. I'm superior to most people. I'm better than everyone else. So I don't panic, but just the ordinary people would panic, man. And I wouldn't. They're kind of like backslappers. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's just watch the rest of it because this does come up a couple of times. Even the insider says this.
After this, you might even agree.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, Whether
By the way, Bryce Zabel was talking to Tom Friedman, his new co-host, about the 11th Green. If you've not seen the 11th Green, please do watch it, because it's about Eisenhower and his connection to UFOs. It's a movie, like a fictional movie, but do watch it.
sought or unsought by the military
Industrial complex.
The Pentagon has special access.
No one listened to him, did they? Except his successor, John F. Kennedy. I think the president who came after him was the only person who actually listened at the time to what Eisenhower was saying. Here's John Podesta. Now, I should say, a lot of people are going to get up in the chat box saying, John Podesta, do you mean that weird modern art? He was friends with the guy who had the weird modern art thing with the bowls of blood and things like that. Yeah, I know. He may not be the most, in many ways, he's not the most trustworthy guy in the world, but he seems to be the person involved in this, and he was doing all the right things at the right time. So we'll concentrate on that.
Programs deep in the bowels of the Pentagon bureaucracy. Little sunlight emanates from there.
we face a hostile ideology.
He who controls the heavens controls what happens on Earth.
Is that Neuromancer, or whatever he's called? Newberger. What's the name of the witness? I don't think it's,
Space.
I was thinking of that guy, Nucciatelli. That's it. So many I can't remember their names.
Exploration.
I don't think that's not actually a UFO there. I think that's like a tool that the astronauts are using. But they do see things like this, the aliens.
The big question.
They do see aliens in space. Story Musgrove. Yes.
It's where the humans fit in this whole scheme.
Atheistic
That's him. Yeah, that's him. He saw these space serpents.
in character.
There's nothing inherent to democracy.
Oh, so that wasn't. Sorry, that wasn't Story Musgrove. The guy who saw the space serpents was Gordon. He set a space endurance record in the 60s. One of the Gemini astronauts. He saw the space serpents. But Story Musgrove saw all other things. He saw other craft.
That precludes a continuous state of roboticized warfare.
Ruthless in purpose and insidious in method.
The United States military announced that it was actually going to open a space warfare center.
The danger it
They've got the Space Force now. That's the military space shuttle you see there.
poses.
There we are. I forgot what it's called. It's the AJ Bell or something. So that's the advert. That's those annoying adverts, isn't it? Ring my bell. It's called something Bell. X1 Bell or something.
Is to be of indefinite duration.
Well, it's also an anthrocentric error to think billions of planets in our own galaxy that it's not full of life.
You have to start by knowing what's the right question.
I haven't had an experience of a UFO.
What?
That looks like a TR3B there. Do you see? Not that.
What's the right
not that's a
question?
drone.
I haven't had an experience of
Yeah, that's a TR3B possibly. Spotted on a spaceship.
a UFO.
What's going on at this facility?
I haven't seen quantum particles. I know they exist because the evidence
And there's the old Haunabu. Do you see the Haunabu?
experience of a UFO.
What's going on at this
That's the one
facility?
built
I haven't
the
seen
Nazi Germans,
quantum
isn't it?
particles. I know they exist.
There you go. See, there's the Haunabu. Anti-gravity spacecraft built by the Nazis in their secret laboratories. Very Indiana Jones, but it's true. It's there's so much evidence for it.
Just because the evidence is there.
Nothing about alien life that has a need for competitive advantage, so it's immoral to classify.
Yeah, exactly. The documentary, which we're going to see. He's got to bloody show it us now.
The Pentagon has a $600 billion budget. It's hard to keep track of everything.
You get into conflicts with people's belief system.
The more autonomous drone.
I've read the book. Two books have been published from this series. They're both worth reading, I'd say.
It's kind of disturbing, and yet we keep going down that pathway.
The timelines for secrecy are also shrinking. There's no way to keep something secret forever. It's time
They've got to release this, even if they just put it on YouTube now. They've got to release it. They've got to let us see it now.
to take this seriously.
Do you believe people have a right to know?
Here is the insider. Here's the secret insider that Tom DeLonge and John Podesta were talking to. They were getting involved in the project.
Time to take this seriously.
It's the first time he appears on camera, as far as I know, the only time he appears on camera, unless we actually see what's really going on with the full, with the full documentary when it comes out, because he may appear more in there.
Do you believe people have a right to know?
I don't think the public could handle it. I really don't.
I don't think the public could handle it. Yeah, I really don't. That's what, again, I don't agree with that, but that's the secret insider. And here is the secret
Full
machine.
touting.
Okay, well, we've seen enough there. But that is the Secret Machines documentary. Now, who is that secret insider? Who is he? You probably guessed. It's this guy, William Neil McCasland, the very same one who's currently missing. It's now been confirmed. The mystery's solved. That's who Tom DeLonge and John Podesta were talking to. That's who was involved at the highest level of the legacy program and is now then joined TTSA, or at least joined became an advisor, became a fellow traveler of TTSA. You've got to ask yourself, well, maybe this is just some big coincidence. Maybe this guy he did go missing. Let's face it, people go missing. It's a sad fact. And David Paulides talks about this, that people going missing is not unusual. Many of them never come back. And with 99% plus of the cases, there's a perfectly, what Steve Mera insists on calling a rational explanation for their disappearances. They might fall down somewhere. They might get lost. They may collapse in the woods, fall down a sinkhole, fall down a gully, break something, not be able to get out, die. And then sometimes their body turns up, sometimes years later, or it never turns up because the foxes and the badgers, they just eat you. And then something, other things will carry off your bones and chew them up. In wolves, in countries where there are wild wolves often do that. But that could be what's happened in this case. But there are suspicious reasons why that's not the case. In this case, there was suspicious reason to think this is more than just a coincidence. This is more than just an ordinary missing persons report. I was kind of kidding about the backslapper thing. Despite what he said, and you just heard his voice, you saw him in silhouette, but that is William Neil McCasland, Major General in the U.S. Air Force, retired, top engineer, involved in the Air Force research projects, which is the modern equivalent of the technical data section, going right back to the Roswell incident. I said he was a backslapper, and that annoyed me. Yeah, I was kind of joking. I don't wish him any ill will, and I really do hope he's found safe and well, and he goes back to his family, and he reunited with his wife in that little cul-de-sac in Albuquerque. So please, for all the people involved, from the FBI to the local search and rescue people, to the police, to the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office, good luck to you all. I hope you're successful, and I wish Mr. McCasland all the best, and I hope he's safe and well. So I don't know if there's going to be an update on this. I'll try and keep you posted, but it may not be on Hapanmo Voice. It may not be on Hapanmo TV. Like I said, if you just watch me on Hapanmo TV, you're missing half the story, because you're not listening to Third Rail Radio, you're not reading Hapanmo Voice, and you're missing out on a lot because I may just report on it there. I know some of you do. Missing Trillions, for example, he's a regular reader of Hapanmo Voice, and I hope the rest of you join him. So I will give you an update as soon as I can on this. All right, but this is directly related, I think, to, it seems beyond coincidence, this is directly related to the whole disclosure issue as it stands at the moment. And this indicates that the process is actually, despite people laughing at Trump and his tweet or his truth, the process is actually very dynamic right now, and there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes we don't know about. This is a major, as Ross Coulthart said, this is a major national security crisis. Who knows what might come out of it? But clearly, something big and significant is going on behind the scenes, and it could burst out from behind the scenes at any moment. In which case, I will report on it. You will hear what bursts out from behind the scenes first and foremost, live and exclusive on Hapanmo TV. Thank you, all of you, for watching Hapanmo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.